Hey guys, this is Grant Stecker here with Flying Eyes. I'm sitting down with the one, the only, Jake from Spite's Corner. So Jake, why don't you get off by by telling us, a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do for those who don't know, and we'll go from
Right.
there.
So I am Spite from Spite's Corner. My people name is Jake. My online name is Spite. Long story behind that one. Short story long. I just wish I had thought about it a little harder. Otherwise, I would have come up with a better screen name. Uh, for the most part, I just ride motorcycles, man. I just goof around with bikes, have fun. Uh, my biggest thing is working on my channel, doing reviews of motorcycles. That's kind of the bread and butter of what I do. I work with local dealerships. I work with manufacturers. Check out all sorts of brand new bikes right off the production line, and some pretty cool used ones too through AF1 here in Austin. I also have a handful of project bikes that I work on, film all this stuff, and it's mostly just me goofing around with motorcycles and having a good time.
That's awesome. So why don't you tell us a little about your origin, your genesis story with motorcycles? Where did it all begin?
Very lame. That story is very lame. So I moved to Austin right out of college, basically. I went to college in Madison, Wisconsin, came down here, and I was paying $300 a month to park at a garage downtown. And I was like, that dog don't hunt, Monsignor. So I needed something cheaper. So I got a motorcycle, and I was paying like $150 a month for a bike. And it was a Harley Street 750, which if you ask any Harley rider, they'll tell you it's not a real Harley, or it's a girl's bike, or all of the above. And I actually really liked it because it was faster than all of those bigger bikes. So unfortunately, they don't make it anymore.
So you get your start in Austin riding to save a little money. So how did you parlay that into getting involved as a YouTube, content creator?
So out of college, I actually majored in film production, believe it or not. So I studied uh, media production, radio, TV, film, specifically film and online media. That's kind of where I put my focus because I watched YouTube a lot, and I really enjoyed the business side of YouTube, understanding that it wasn't just people. Obviously, it's people who are making videos about stuff that they like and they wanted to share, but it was people who could parlay that into a business. And I always kind of wanted to do that for myself. Um, and, I got a camera and did some vlogging stuff, and you find one video that hits okay. That was about when I was like, yeah, let's pack this in. Then a YouTuber by the name of Yammy Noob moves from Dallas to Austin, and he needed help with production. And I was like, okay, I know your content because I watched a lot of it. I know the style. Here's a test edit. And he liked it. So I started editing footage for Yammy Noob. And then as that channel grew, it turned into less behind the scenes and more in front of the camera. And then learning how to schedule shoots and do all of this other stuff to the point where I was the production manager there. And then we went our separate ways about 2 years ago now, I think. And I just hit the ground running. I picked up my own camera, which I'm currently talking to right now. Hello. And got a couple of bikes and just started doing this again. I basically picked up exactly where I left off, doing reviews and all sorts of stuff. Long story short, it was blind dumb luck, honestly. And I think most people who get involved in YouTube are like, yeah, it was dumb luck.
Yeah, sounds like you've been very lucky then.
Yeah, no, and I'm super fortunate, and am thankful for all the opportunities that were afforded to me by working at Yammy Noob. It was a great opportunity, learned a ton, and because we were making so much content, I was able to develop a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get that sort of on-camera energy up when you're just making one or two videos every now and again. we were making so much that I developed really, really quickly.
That's awesome. So let's get back to motorcycles a little bit. So your first bike was the Harley 750. What came next down your journey?
Harley 750, that was the Street 750. Then I bought a Harley Street Rod, which is the sportier version of the 750. Then I bought a Honda Hornet. Then I bought a Honda VFR. Then I bought a Suzuki DRZ. Then I bought a KTM 690 SMCR. Then I bought this. Then I got another 919. Then I got a CBR 600. Now I have a VMAX and a KLR 650 and a Hawk 250 and an Eclipse 2.0 electric bike. And then if we count the manufacturer bikes, I have a Livewire in there, a Livewire 1, and I have a CF Moto Papio, and I have a CF Moto 450 SS. There are 10 motorcycles in my garage right now.
Do you have a car then?
2. I've got a van, a Ford E350. If you are a motorcyclist, I highly recommend getting a van. I highly recommend getting a van. You can put a bike like this, you take the mirrors off, and you have plenty of headroom. I've put my dirt bikes in there. I have a bumper hitch that I can put bikes on the back of, which is awesome. And then our personal family car is my Mazda Speed 3.
Ah, that's quite a machine there.
Bone stock. Everybody gives me crap about it, but that's why it still works, is because it is bone stock. It does not consume oil. It just works because I have not played with it. It just runs.
So in the world of motorcycles, like, can you tell me a little bit like how the motorcycle community and the people that have been involved in that have been impactful in your life?
Oh yeah. So the biggest ones that I can point to are, like a lot of people, Zach and Ari from they're currently at Revzilla. When I started following them, they were at motorcyclist.com. They are it's Zach, Ari, and Spencer. Spencer's the guy behind the camera. Those two guys and Lemmy at Revzilla at the time were some of the biggest influences on me. They were the guys I went to as these are firsthand resources, primary resources, and they still are. Lemmy's since gone away from Revzilla. He's doing his own thing now, or maybe he just retired and rode off into that good night. And then another one is Ryan from Fortnite. So love watching Ryan's stuff because it's so high effort from a production standpoint. I love looking at what he does and being like, how can I steal 1/10 of what this guy's doing with his production team and bring it to what I do? How can I what is the one thing from this video that I could pilfer and make mine? Because that's really what YouTube tends to be, is just people stealing stuff from other people and turning it into one unholy amalgam.
Yeah.
But I also really like watching racing. I love watching racing. So we've got MotoGP coming up here in a couple of weeks in Austin. Moto America is a lot of fun. I love watching people who are better than me because that's how you learn. I just look at what they do and I'm like, I don't know nothing. And then when you get to that point, you're like, how do I start, like with production, how do I steal what they're doing and make it so that it works for me? I learned a lot about body position watching racers, and watching how they ride off-road also helps me ride on-road. That's why I have a dirt bike. And just generally, the community for motorcycling is awesome. Like, you go to a bike night, and it's all just a bunch of really cool people who want to chat about an awesome ride they had or this cool bike they saw. It gets cast a lot as this like outlaw club because of the outlaw clubs. But most guys and gals on motorcycles are nerds. They're all just a bunch of nerds. And I say that as a nerd, so I can say that. But everybody's just nice and wants to have a good time, you know?
So for those who are watching who maybe haven't, got on the bike yet and started learning to ride, what advice would you have for them?
Just do it, man. Just do it. Best thing you can do is find an MSF course. Go find an MSF course in your area. It's usually like 2 days on the bike, something like that. Make sure that when you take that MSF course, you take it on a real motorcycle, and a real motorcycle. Not that like a Grom isn't, but take it on a full size bike, something like CRF 250. A lot of them will have CRF 250s or Rebel 300s. Make sure you're doing it on a full size bike, not a mini bike, not a scooter, because you need to get that feel for shifting and using the brakes and all of that stuff. You don't get that on a scooter. So it's really important, if you want to get into motorcycling, go take the MSF. That's at the very least going to teach you, is this something I want to continue to do? After that, get a cheap bike, just something cheap, 2-3 grand on Craigslist that's in decent shape, and just ride the wheels off of it. Learn how to clean your chain, learn how to replace your chain, learn how to change your oil, all of that stuff. And just YouTube University, man. There's not a single thing on this bike that I wouldn't feel comfortable doing after I've watched a couple of people do it on a YouTube video. It's just gotten that good.
So what can we look from you coming up in the future? Do you have any big projects in the work or any events coming up?
Yeah, so obviously GP, I want to hang out at a bunch of GP parties. I think AF1, they usually do their GP party, which should be coming up right around the corner. So I'll be there. I'll probably be at the Flying Eyes booth at GP, assuming that's all happening like it was last year. We did like we did an hour-long meetup, which was a ton of fun. Met a bunch of fans, met a bunch of just random people too, which is cool. People who didn't have any idea who I was. I was just standing at the Flying Eyes booth and they showed up, and then we started chatting about bikes. And then in terms of projects, I'm currently working on this VMAX. I am working on this stupid bike, and it still does not start. So my biggest goal, by the end of March, I'm hoping that this bike starts. And then I have a plan with the Flying Eyes team to do a whole bunch of cool stuff to this bike. I want to get a trailer hitch and haul my dirt bike behind it. I want to take it to a drag strip. I want to do some dyno pulls, all of this fun stuff with his VMAX. And I want to hit the road and go hang out with some other YouTubers. Jake Garden Snake, I want to go ride with him again. Shade Tree Surgeon, definitely got to get down to Florida and ride with him. And anybody else. I really want to get to more dirt bike stuff too this year, specifically. Because now that I have my little dirt bike, I can go to single track, I can go to trails, I can do this kind of more aggressive off-road stuff than I could with my adventure bike. So, maybe I'll go to a couple of dirt bike events.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have time for today, but I want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us today.
Absolutely.
And anything else we should talk about before we go?
I mean, if you're into motorcycles, there is a ton of awesome content out there. You don't just have to watch it from me. I would recommend checking out Fort 9. I would recommend checking out the guys at Revzilla, Zach and Ari. I would recommend checking out Shade Tree Surgeon. His stuff is so much fun. Jake the Garden Snake, Her Two Wheels. Motorcycling is awesome. There's a ton of people who do a bunch of awesome stuff with motorcycling. And just go ride. Go do something silly. Go have some fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much today, Jake. We've had such a pleasure having you on today.
Absolutely.